I'm just going to adjust.
This be nice and quick for you.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Disposal of
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why they're sitting there unless he was here.
Must have
and
brought him
handing
in,
them out.
yeah, must have brought him in.
He came to the board meeting,
Oh,
or, was it the board? Yeah, the last board meeting.
oh,
And,
that, what's his, the Howard, was it, what's his name?
Kenneth Daryl Howard,
Okay,
but he goes by Daryl Howard.
nice guy.
He is. Yeah, he's on our board.
And Amanda, or Loretta says, Cypher solar face.
Roll call. Cheryl,
Here,
Nick,
Here.
Justin,
Here.
Matt.
Yep.
I'm here. Hmm.
Make a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and the agenda, an extra copy.
There's more right there.
Agenda.
Okay, I have it, I don't know what to do with it. Thank you.
All good.
Oh, I'm gonna do it now. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment.
Anybody online?
No, we're not popular tonight.
Okay.
No,
It's too nice out.
Exactly.
it is.
Don't blame them.
Okay, just on the master plan, I got a text from Dave asking if anybody had any questions on this, that, you know, because he's trying to finish it up. And I sent everybody an email. Cheryl, I know, sent me some things and I forwarded it to Dave, so it's still ongoing, so if anybody comes up with anything that they have, you can either send it to Dave directly, or you can send it to me and I'll forward it to him.
Yeah, go through. That way
Okay,
you know.
okay.
I think that's what
Just forward.
Dave's preferences is for one person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I sent it to
okay,
you, so you
okay.
know.
That's fine.
If you ask them about up to page 20.
I'll have that. I think she did ask me that,
Yeah, I
didn't
did, and he didn't answer that question.
you? No, he didn't.
But he'll probably address that at the next one. I think one of my things about this, oh, I actually tabbed pages. On page 21. Second paragraph, the last line of the second paragraph. It says the township lost population over the past 20 years. The increase in housing units and households reflects a modest growth. How do we have a decrease in population but an increase in housing? I thought that was,
Could be because maybe these younger generations don't have kids and they don't have as many kids as before.
I'll accept
That's
that.
the only way, yeah. That's
And
what I was
that's the only
thinking.
thing I could think of,
Okay,
but they
More
might
houses,
have a
less
better
people.
answer for that.
But that is true though.
It,
I
it,
mean,
it is, I mean, there's a lot of people my age that don't have kids, you know, because they just live in their life.
Live your life.
I like the difference on page 25, the different format of the maps that you put in here. That different from our format.
Yeah,
And I did ask him on page 32 if we could have a readable map. I can't make out the roads on this map.
32, you said?
Yeah, 32.
Ooh.
It's not readable. I mean, there's just kind of things like that. Dave's going to look into the site plan review standards, because I said, do we have site plan review standards? He said we need them, but we don't have them, and he's looking into that. That's on page 47.
Let me see.
I think John was establishing some at one point. Oops.
He always had a couple irons in the fire.
And then on page 48, it says residential nodes and small commercial centers. The very first paragraph under the goal on page 48. What is a residential node? Is it an area?
Residential.
good.
The rule.
Where's this at on?
On page 48, the first paragraph of goal.
Oh, okay, oh, okay.
I've heard it before, it's just not ringing well.
A residential node refers to a central or connecting point within a neighborhood, containing a mix of residential, commercial, and sometimes institutional uses, often serving as a hub for daily activities.
Hub for what?
Daily activities, so I don't think that the ending part applied, but the beginning part sounded good. It refers to a central or connecting point within a neighborhood. And it does say containing a mix of like residential, but ours, well, yours would be residential and agricultural.
I asked Dave, we'll see what he says about that.
We'll take that.
On page 77, we still have the low density and the medium density. Didn't we talk about not having that?
I think we went back to them.
We
having-
went
Yeah, we
back to
did,
it,
but
'cause
we-
across from the high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
It-
We're keeping it.
Yeah, we ended up keeping track of keeping that.
And the next page after 78 on the green map. What is the brown area above Ag 2 and R2?
That's the, what was it, 459?
425.
Or for 425, knew it was a four.
It is. Why isn't it shown in the legend?
It's got an overlap, it's like,
It's R2, but yeah.
yeah, it's R2. But it's got that gray boxing over top of the yellow, and so it makes it look like a weird color.
Polish brown.
So it's the gray plus the yellow is the
This.
puke orange.
Oh,
And
okay.
this together,
The area under 425.
Okay, all right.
so.
I'm just gonna put X. I'm gonna put that in there on my map.
I wish there was like a different color or something you could do for the.
Or just do dots or
Yeah, something.
something.
Cause I could see how that could get confusing.
That, just out of curiosity, on that same map, that little speck of R2, that's, it surrounded by the city of Milan, I believe that has been sold and brought into the city.
Right next to Ag 2?
No,
Oh,
it's
it's
right
right
up
up there
top.
on Platte Road.
Little bitty.
It's just north of Simon's High School. There's a white house with several outbuildings. And I think it's like 20 acres and it stretches back to the bus garage. Not that it really matters, but I know that
It's
a
gone.
developer bought it and he's planning on a subdivision, but probably not right now.
So they're gonna change this map?
I believe that that little yellow speck that says R2 should be all white. I believe it's in the city now.
We should tell Dave then before this map.
Well, we would need to verify that, but
Okay.
I know that growing up, there was just an elderly couple that lived there and that was always a little talking point that they,
Dingdoffer.
what's it?
I think his name was Dingdoffer,
Okay,
Richard Dingdoffer. lived
Yeah.
there.
but I know that the property's been sold and a developer owns it now.
That's.
How many acres is it?
I believe it's like 20.
There's
It's
a
the
house next
houses-
to his and then there's the river, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and his field stretches all the way back
Way
to
the
the
back,
bus
around the
garage.
back, yeah, there
Yep,
was
and-
a-
And then it borders the nature preserve
Yep.
to the north.
That's interesting, that was not part of the city of Milan. That one part.
No, and I don't know,
That's weird.
I mean, I don't know how far you'd have to go back to
Yeah,
figure out.
yeah,
And I know that there's like places in Saline that are little islands of township land inside the city and how they avoided being annexed in with
Yeah,
everything
that's
else.
right.
I don't know.
Because that's the only one.
Well, what's our next step with the next one?
Waiting on Dave to finish it up.
Okay,
That's what he told me. He wanted anybody that's got any problems to. I haven't heard anything on the fiber optic coming. I have to get a hold of him on that, see where we're at on that.
Okay, we're moving on to noise.
You can do that.
So where is this set in here? Where does this noise ordinance?
I dug mine offline.
What?
I dug mine offline. I don't know if it's in that part of that or not. I looked through there and I got tired. I found it online in the computer.
Why isn't this in here?
It's probably not in the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, it'd be in
It's
the,
not a zoning ordinance, it would be the alternate.
Because
General
what?
Hold on, I'm. gonna go-
something else ordinance. Might not be in the zoning ordinance book.
It's not zoning.
Yeah, it's not part of the zoning.
Yeah, it's in the,
General
if
law.
I had a zoning book, I could probably find it. It's in the back part of it. It talks about noise and odor
I thought I
and
found it on page 1.
nuisances. It's a nuisance. Is there a ordinance that says nuisance?
There's like a general one, but there's not one in there like this detailed and this long, like the one that you found.
Well, like I
It's
said-
not in here because it's not a zoning.
Yeah, I
ordinance.
didn't get that out of the book right off.
Right, that if you find the nuisance,
I'll give you this book here.
they're
I found
short.
it when we were looking at Corrigan.
They were
You know,
short.
We came across it last month. Not this exact. Bits and pieces of this, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Nick, do these ordinances like this one, this says page 1, do these set in another
It's page 116.
116.
general law ordinance? Do these set in another binder in the hall?
They might.
That's what she's going to look for right now.
I got a binder of them. This is just printed differently.
Yeah,
I
it is
think-
different.
116.
The bottom of 116, it discusses odor.
Yeah, but
That
it's-
one,
no, that's 117 is noise. And it gives you like the decibels and stuff.
Yeah, performance standards, that's what's a nuisance.
But it's not the full noise.
Yeah, but it's not
ordinance
like
that we
this.
have. No, it's
Right.
not.
It's
just
not
a-
like that? Well, that
No.
was 2012 is when that was,
I know, but
it's not in the book.
No, I just mean like number 7 of noise, it's just a small little section. But it does give you the decibels and stuff where this one doesn't.
This is ordinance number 23. That was
Well, it
signed up.
continues on 118.
Yeah, but it's still not this full.
Yeah.
no.
Well, we need to,
It's because I think what she was saying, it's not a zoning thing, it's a general.
It is
General
in
law.
the general law, the
General
general law
law.
ordinance.
So do we have on the website the general law ordinances? Because that's what I've been trying to ask for a long time. Do we have something other than zoning ordinances that would pertain to some of these instances? And so what, does a general law ordinance override a zoning ordinance?
No, normally, yeah, they're two separate things. Normally. I mean, if somebody comes in with a site plan and let's say they're gonna be doing a bunch of excavation or something. They want a special use to do that. You talk about their hours. You are going to look at this noise ordinance and give, you're gonna try and make them similar, or the same. The only way it can, well, you can't override it, so it's an ordinance.
Yeah, because I feel like this noise ordinance.
yeah, that is
You
this.
found online, that's more.
It's totally
in case
different.
you're
No wonder I
talking
couldn't find it.
about. This is for like people are building permits, zoning stuff.
Yeah.
You'd follow this, where this is just if someone's got a complaint, you can go to this noise ordinance because.
Normally, the planning commission doesn't see general law ordinances.
But can we find these general law ordinances somewhere?
They're-
Online?
They are online, I don't know.
What are they under?
I
Not general law, on my computer it says general law, ordinance number 23, so it's under general law.
Okay,
So who creates those general law ordinances?
It had to be
The board of
time.
trustees. Normally, board of trustees deal with the general law ordinances, and the planning commission deals with all zoning.
okay, so there would be no,
But you guys can look at it if the board of trustees asks you to, or whatever.
I probably should be updating them as 2012, I don't know.
Sorry, Cheryl, what were you saying?
there wouldn't be a need for us to update a noise ordinance in the zoning ordinance if there's one in the general law that should apply if someone complains about noise. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay,
they shouldn't contradict themselves.
well, there's
You
nothing,
know.
yeah, it's not,
Yeah, and there shouldn't be anything about actual, just strict about noise like that is. Because it's not a zoning issue, so it wouldn't be in the zoning ordinance.
very interesting. Don't you find it interesting?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now I need to look at. all of
Because it
these.
just, it depends on the situation. Like if someone's complaining at their house, well, that would fall under this. Not this. You wouldn't follow this one.
I mean, it's one of those things where, again, you know, the planning commission can look at those ordinances. By law, you don't have it, it doesn't have to go to the planning commission because the board takes care of those. But you can make suggestions to the board of trustees. You guys can recommend, you know, a change in this ordinance, even though it's not a zoning ordinance.
Okay. It's getting clearer.
I'm trying to explain it the best way I can think right now. My brain's kind of like.
Wait, I think we've asked several people. Is there a binder of other ordinances that we don't know?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
she
took
just
this
got
out.
I know it, but we've asked several people and everyone's.
And nobody knew? Well, it's in the same spot
Okay.
that I told everybody it would be.
All right. Very interesting.
I mean, if they don't deal with it a lot, I can understand them, you
Yeah.
know, not knowing, but,
How many ordinances is there under the general law on the website?
oh, on the website, I'm not sure. I know the website still needs a lot of updating too.
I'm just wondering, how many is there out there that we have? Just noise is one, like how many general ordinances?
You wanna go get the book?
I
I mean, it's not that big of a binder.
I just was
It's,
curious,
it's
that's
like
all.
a binder like what you have, but it's less papers. And some of them are doubles. Why, I don't know, but they are. Yes, Cheryl, to answer your question, looking at it, at the top, it needs, the rest of them. But at the very top, there is a drop down for general law ordinances.
Okay,
But like I said, I'm just now seeing that needs to be updated. And I'm not sure where you got the noise ordinance, Pat, because it's not under that one.
It's what, it was on my computer under Township.
Oh, it was on your computer,
Yeah,
not on the website.
no,
Oh, okay,
I don't know.
gotcha.
I don't know who downloaded that to my computer. Maybe you did. But someone, I think, no, it was Stephanie. She had one of them little USB
for-
things and loaded that down.
all of them, all the ordinances?
Most of.
Must have. But there, you know, like I say, this was in there, but every file down there below was all this stuff here. Other townships, so, you know, I happened to find this, but all this is in there too.
Okay.
You know, because I think he took all of these and built this. That's my gut feeling, because why are all these other ordinances from different townships? That's why I just printed them out or printed those out for you so you could look and we see, we could compare and. Did I just take yours?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I thought what I had was what everybody had on mine. I'll have to go online and double check. Hmm.
Does anybody else, I don't know, like the zoning book turned the other way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because some of this is like small.
yeah, he was gonna redo it, and we kind of said,
Well, that was for the,
for the master plan.
yeah, I'm talking about the zoning ordinance, like.
Yeah,
it's
cause
all
then
like
it goes
that.
little.
Yeah, like it needs to be.
Yeah.
There was a problem with printing that, wasn't there?
Huh?
Wasn't there a problem with printing that? It wouldn't print the other way?
No, in the file that we got from John, that's the way it was.
Oh,
So,
Just needs to be
yeah,
reformatted.
just needs to be reformatted, that's
oh,
all.
okay.
It might
And,
be easier to see in front.
These, we're on these now.
And just because of the
This is
noise.
mine, this is yours.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I didn't bring mine, didn't think
Yeah,
I
this
was
is
gonna
mine.
need that.
Yeah.
I just was looking because we were talking about the noise.
Part of it,
ordinance,
that's what,
But
I
I
think
was just
John
like-
had it, like, I remember John had it set up that way and we were gonna live with this for now until we can get it straightened out.
Yeah, I think it needs to be rotated.
Okay, so where are we gonna start with the zoning ordinances?
I thought we were on the noise, but I see
Well-
now there's a difference, but.
Well, I don't think, we're not doing anything with the general
General
law,
law.
so we need to go back to our.
So now we have to go back to the zoning ordinance.
Or we need to find out if the general law ordinance is enforceable, and if that is a tool we can use. I mean, we may not need, I mean, I kind of see the zoning ordinance, like, we're looking at like, in, you know, hey, in this zone, this is how we're gonna manage this section of the township. If someone wants to come into this township, these are the rules and the considerations that we will think about before granting rezoning or anything like that. This is, I think the zoning ordinance applies to property and what's, you know, normally done on properties. This is like for your situation or the situation I described earlier.
Which I think this is pretty generic and vague,
Very generic.
so.
Well, there's a lot of, you know, there's words in there that just kind of stand out to me, unreasonable.
Like
You
how,
know,
like
in a
how you gonna
court-
enforce this is my question.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna, like, I think in this somehow we need to add like the whole decibel chart, like on page 117, something that you. can
And
go by
again, but
and
we can do that and I have no problem doing that, but if we can spend
need someone to
time
enforce
putting it in there, but if it's not enforceable. My question would be is, I mean, this is not the first time this has happened in this township, and we certainly can't be the only township that has the same issue. You know, is there somebody, Dave or somebody at the NTA that can say, here is, this is how you deal with drunk people in the middle of the night. This is how you write a general law. This is how you enforce it. And again, I like your idea. I don't know if it's feasible, but having Tim giving him the equipment so that if there is an issue, yeah, he's gonna get a call out at 2 o'clock in the morning when Billy Bob's revving his Mustang and, you know, shooting off fireworks on a Tuesday night. And he can go and document it, measure it, and properly enforce the general law.
Yeah, if he's willing to do that too, or if he can too, I don't know, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know how he's compensated. But I would, you know, if I were him and I'd be like, if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah, it's $75 to get out of bed, it's $50 to show up, and you know, that's gonna come out of if there's any fines.
Well, the state police and the county said to just call them when there's an issue. Doesn't matter what time, but you can't wait till the next day.
Yeah, and for the most part, that will work. Now, my situation over here, I got at least 2 or 3 neighbors who like to shoot guns. I have 2 holes in my barn. I had a party a couple years ago. I had a buddy of mine who was out in the woods, he was hunting. I had a large group of kids in our fall party. They were getting ready, and the Yahoo was shooting, and my buddy came in, he said, I'm up in the tree well on your property and bullets are whizzing by. I called the sheriff. That night, I have dealt with the sheriff and as well as the state police officers. That night, it was a state police officer. He drove around the block, talked to the guy. The guy told him to F off and get out of here. And he goes, nah, there's not a lot I can do. I'm like, there are literally bullets flying through my property. There's nothing you can do.
Oh, there it is.
According to that guy, there wasn't.
I'd call another one.
Free back. I can't say it.
Oh, yeah. The 3S rule. Oh, yeah. No. I am fully prepared to do what I gotta do. But I mean, there's times where, and you know, one thing too is that like, I still have neighbors that, you know, and as far as I know, there's no more, like, we've kind of talked it out. I went over there once and yelled at them, and there's no regulation on backstops. And my neighbors have a backstop that if you go on as the crow flies, I know where the bullet holes in my barn came from. I can't prove it, but it went through, it goes through, and especially in the spring when there's water, these idiots don't understand that bullets don't just splash into water and go down. They ricochet off and they go right back up. And I've called, I mean, I have dealt with the law enforcement, sheriff and state probably half a dozen times in the last 8 years for my, and again, I don't mind the shooting. I shoot occasionally myself, but I don't mind the noise. That doesn't bother me, but it's when bullets are coming through my yard, I've got problems. And, you know, I would love to see like a firearms ordinance where it's like, look, you shoot all the guns you want, but you got to have a NRA or state approved backstop. I don't know. I don't know, but it's just, I mean, we can talk about all kinds of issues and these are issues that are inherent to where we live. You don't have this problem in the city of Milan. They shut that stuff down real quick.
Which I think your best
So
bet's have
you don't
to
think
be-
that the county or the state could enforce this?
not gonna
I think if you had a law enforcement officer who was really on your side and he issued a citation and that person got a lawyer, I think
be- as a safe-
being a layman, I think, I mean, when you say unreasonable, I see that word a number of times in this general law. And that is unmeasurable. Unreasonable to who? The guy shooting? No. To you? Well, if he's over there farting too loud, you might find that unreasonable.
Well, but this,
No,
it
wait,
could be
like your
injurious
case,
to
you're
the
gonna have
health.
to take the guy to court with an attorney and lawyer, and you're gonna have to go, I mean, that's the only way to solve these cases. I mean, it's not just have this police officer take care of it.
So if they get a citation, they don't get a fine after so many, I don't know.
If you can, again, in my opinion, I think they can get a fine, but you have to document it. It has to be done correctly. And again, that's why, like, you know, Justin's idea of having somebody who is trained in the use of these tools to show up on site and as an officer of the township say, at 2:20 a.m. on Tuesday, October 17th, I was at the property line of Justin Gruden's and I measured the neighbor was playing music, driving his car and shooting fireworks. I recorded decibel readings of 102, 89, 43. That's in violation of our ordinance. I issued the offending homeowner a citation. I think that sounds very enforceable, but
I think that's the only way anything's gonna get done. Just calling the cops, I don't think is gonna. Clearly, it's not.
well, no, but here's the thing, 9 times out of 10, if a cop goes and knocks on the door, people are like, okay, I'll chill out. Now, they may wait an hour and then turn their stereo back up like a lot of people do, but it, you know, but if you get somebody like that guy down in Azalea was defiant, it's like, you can't do that to me. You can't do that. And that's what he'd do. The cops would show up and he'd be like, yeah, whatever. And he'd stop for a minute and a half an hour later, it was the Wild West again. Neighbor was scared. I think he moved.
It's not even where Tim's gotta show up, he can just park on the street and do all the, you know what I mean, you don't even have to go knocking.
No,
Like,
and that's
it's
what
like-
he would, I mean, obviously, I mean, if he went knocking, no, I mean, I would just show up and just observe, don't say anything to anybody, take your decibel recordings and then, and I wouldn't even, you know, if those guys are drinking, I wouldn't go there that night, I'd go there the next morning. I'd say I was here last night, and as an officer of the township, he can be like, this is what happened. It was not unreasonable, it was in violation of the ordinance, I measured it. I don't care, you know, I know Justin was upset that they were making noise, but I measured it and it was in violation of our general law. And I did issue a citation. But then again, it's like,
Which you can't say that in this ordinance, because
Mm.
there's nothing in here to be enforceable.
but again, again, how feasible is that? And is there, I mean, if a model like that works, then I assume it exists somewhere in this state. I mean, how many townships do we have? There's gotta be, if it's enforceable and it works, and you can use that as a tool to stop that kind of example like you explained, Cheryl, then it's gotta be out there. And that's why I'm just wondering, like, if there's somebody at the MTA or Dave that would be like, yeah, there's other ordinances out there that are way better than this. Rather than us try to put on our little lawyer hats and write one. And this is a general law, which we don't write anyway.
Mhm.
I think you run that up to,
I do like this part for when they start doing building on, Oregon.
the time.
Yeah, the time, yeah.
They can record info into the zoning or this one. Or-
To me,
What did
to me here, the ordinance shall be known as referred to as the Milan Township Noise Ordinance. Okay, no person, firm, corporation, or entity shall cause or create unreasonable or improper noise disturbance to the property owners of Milan Township. So,
I don't know, I'm just
you
saying,
know, well, I don't know why they'd write it up to where you couldn't enforce it.
Well, I think a lot of our ordinance, I mean, this isn't the only one. I think there's half our ordinances are probably unenforceable if you have somebody who's gonna push back and get a lawyer.
Well, I think we know that the people that are violating the ordinances probably won't get a lawyer.
But the other thing too, though, is, I mean, like that guy down there, I mean, I know oh, I got drunk and shot guns off and you're pissed, here's $500. See you next week and I'll do it again.
I'd say some people.
You know, if there's some kind of escalation, if you can build in some kind of escalation, first one's 500, second one's 1,000. And
So,
it even says 90 days in jail. I mean, it's like, I would hope to think, like, if this got in front of a judge for the 13th time, you'd be like, listen, asshole, you're going to jail for a month.
yeah, I'd like to have this particular person come to the board meetings and complain about it. And you know, as I said, you just need to come in and complain.
Yeah, nothing gets done unless you complain.
That's right.
Or
Complain.
even just go catch Mark in his office one day. I mean, you could go get on the record during public comment and get the whole board aware of it, but if I were serious about it and I was this person, I would catch Mark in his office and sit down and have a little one-on-one and.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that sometimes it's not home. And she's home alone, and the guns,
Yeah.
you know, and the people and not knowing and.
Yeah.
So.
No, and again, I don't know if Mark is, if he would be comfortable with, that's one thing I always liked about Phil is that he knew everybody.
Yeah.
And he'd go down there and he'd be like, all right, Bob, come on, you know, he just got stuff done.
Yeah.
He didn't have to pull out a zoning enforcement officer, legalese.
Okay.
An ongoing thing, or is it a one-time deal, or has this been more than once?
Well, when you tell them what road it is,
Oh, okay.
you don't even have to tell them the name or the address.
Oh, okay.
And does the township have to pay for police calls, ambulance calls?
Ambulance calls, I think there's something in there.
In the general law?
Because wasn't there some issue with 23 we were getting billed for because
Yeah.
of the propensity of accidents?
Some ambulance, yeah, we got some bills.
Have to look at the general.
I don't know, who, but the ambulance bill is gonna go to the person who gets hauled away in the ambulance. I mean, your insurance covers it,
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't cover that.
yeah,
Right.
but I got taken away in ambulance. I don't think we ever got anything. I don't think we did. Matter of fact, I don't think there is.
So when you call the emergency, 911 emergency, is it the ambulance that comes?
This is probably.
Fire
depends.
Fire
department
department?
first. Fire department will be
department.
here first and then the ambulance will come behind.
Okay,
So a long time ago, probably 12, 15 years ago, maybe. I was coming home, it was a day kind of like this, but there was patchy ice on my road. I went around that last corner, my truck got squirrely and I went in the ditch. I put it on its side and I climbed out. I walked up to my house, I called my dad, I said, you come down and help me flip this truck back out. And I started making my lunch. And I was eating my lunch and I heard the sirens and they just kept getting closer and closer. And my neighbor drove by and said that there was a rollover accident. He didn't even stop to see if anyone was in the car. He called 911. Fire department showed up. They get out and I'm like, and Phil was one of the first ones there. I said, Phil was the first one. I said, Phil, call it off. I said, it's just my truck. I said, there's nobody hurt. I climbed out of it. I'm eating my lunch right now. And he said, oh, I can't call it off. Once it's called in, they gotta come out. And I was like, Phil, call it off. And they came out and the fire department started, and they were getting ready to do some big things. And my dad showed up. And I said, I'm gonna go talk to these boys. I said, you drive out there. I said, you hook my truck up and yank it out. And so while I was talking to them, they're like, no, we gotta do this. We gotta look for leaks and all this protocol they wanna do. And I was pissed and I was like, Phil was there. I was like, Phil, that's my property on that side. That's my property on that side. This is ridiculous. And when my dad, he gunned it and yanked my truck, goes over and the one of the firefighters was, you can't do that. And then later on, anyway, long story short, nothing happened. But later on, they sent me a bill for emergency services. I didn't call them. I didn't utilize any services. And I went and found my property taxes and where it said fire and rescue that as part of my property taxes, I made a copy of it, I highlighted it, I sent it back, and never heard anything. I mean, I wasn't paying for it.
I
So
think if they
I
can
do
get away
pay
with
for
it,
I pay for it in my taxes. And, I mean, I can see if I called, maybe, but what,
Amanda, what'd you have?
I did want to say that there is an ordinance. I have not read it yet, so I don't know the details of it. But there is an ordinance that the township can bill for the emergency services. For any ambulance or anything like that. Like I said, I haven't actually read it. I know over in London, we bill non-residents. Residents, we don't bill. It's only non-residents that get into a car accident in the township or, things like that. So just saying that is another general law ordinance.
So, like I said, I mean, Amanda, you said general law is generally not under the umbrella of the planning commission's responsibilities, correct?
Correct. Like I said, the board can send it to you if they want your opinion. If they feel that it, would do well, to get the planning commission's opinion. But normally the board takes care of these.
yeah, I think they were talking about, the first one, if there's a emergency, the first one, they're not gonna bill you, but maybe the second one, or if it's a consistent calling 911. Or like same for
I
fire.
can run over and grab it if you wanna see it. I'll work on getting those on the website, that way everybody can see.
So what are we doing with noise ordinance? Just not.
I think maybe we make a recommendation.
It's just
that
coming.
The board take a look at it and maybe evaluate whether or not they still agree with it and maybe ask the lawyer to what extent it's enforceable and how it would be enforced.
I think that might be the key question first.
So first, I think
Yeah,
we need to
lawyer
get the
see
general
it.
law ordinance book and then,
Is this enforceable? And then like, you don't say, oh yeah, that's good enough, or no, it's not, no, it's not, then it should go back to the board to be like, okay. Now then the board knows we need to do something with it.
Yeah.
cause this
If
isn't
we can
something,
do something.
this isn't
Yeah, I don't
something
know.
we don't do anything with.
Apparently not. That's what requested.
Yeah.
No, but it's been brought to our attention, and I think it needs to be run up the food chain, and
Who brought this to our attention?
Cheryl.
Sure. I printed that out, but she brought it.
I brought it to attention by,
I think we need
Because of
to
an
learn
issue,
the general
not
law
information.
ordinance situation before we do anything here. I mean, we need to know what the general law ordinance is for, get the book, see what the heck's in there and say, okay.
It's what you have in front of
But
you.
it-
that's-
No, this is just one.
Yeah, but.
There's several ordinances in there, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just, again, and again, I don't know, to what degree are we responsible, or should we be responsible for general law? I mean, this is our domain right here.
Right.
This is something where it's like, okay, maybe the
Yeah,
township
that's
board
fine.
can take a look at the general laws and see.
So we can fold this over according to Matt.
Yeah.
I put right there, Matt. No, I agree, this is. Okay,
maybe just take it, Nick, maybe just mention it
I
that,
can ask
that we
him to-
discussed it and,
to see what it,
yeah, and to see
what it is, I don't know what.
I mean,
general
everybody's
law
new.
is.
The thing is
Yeah.
that everybody's new
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah, because we should get a general law ordinance book and see what's in there, what kind, what's in there,
Maybe we should get the whole general book too.
Yeah.
So we know, if we got the. Building.
Yeah.
Again, we can start poking around in all
I
the
might
general
say
laws, I know,
Just
but,
so we have it.
just for.
Just so
we
we
have a
know what's
copy.
in there.
Like how you made a binder for us all with the, okay, we're all on the same page, we all have this binder, maybe we should have one for all the general ordinances.
I think we should, because somebody in the meeting said, hey, what's Corrigan gonna do when it gets too loud? And I said, well,
There's a
I
zoning.
looked up the ordinance, the book we got. I looked it up in there and said, yeah, there's this nuisance law, or what was it nuisance, what's it called, general requirements or
Performance standards.
performance standards, there you go, performance standards, it's in there on this page, and that should cover it. But then I could have also said, then we also have this, I didn't know.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
you
yeah,
said,
we
you
should
said on the
get,
board and you didn't know you had that?
Have no earthly idea.
Would you guys
Um,
like me to make you binders?
Well,
All of you?
I don't know if we need binders,
one.
or at least the the title and
Well,
the,
it is an ordinance
I won't
number,
give you
we do
expired.
ordinances and, it's an ordinance number,
Yeah,
but
They're-
it's just
they're-
placed
they're-
in general.
What I don't want is I don't want all this stuff.
I said,
If we had a table of
And
contents,
it's expired.
well, they need to be looked at, updated.
if we had a table of contents, that would probably at least,
I can do
What do you
that.
mean?
what do you think? Table of contents for the general law
Yeah,
ordinance,
Yeah,
and then we'll, for next meeting, and we will take that and at least we'll know. Oh, there's
Yes.
if this one doesn't work at Corrigan Oil, then we have this too.
And I think it probably should be, I mean, you're on the board, but
well, this,
wise of the board to look at all those general,
This
because
is
like the
the
noise
commission
hasn't
zoning
even been looked at since 2012,
Oh,
they said
sorry.
it's older.
all
other
those,
expired
Yeah,
those
yeah,
different ones I gave you
There
for
was-
you- for your
there was one
reference,
for,
because we
the-
were
I
talking
thought
about
you
it.
said that they
Yes.
came with it.
Oh.
And it was for 30 years.
Where I
and
found
it
them
just
on my
expired.
computer. It says,
I'm
it
just saying.
says something like.
Well,
I
these
found
would
it,
be
you
like
know,
our
the
ordinance
okay, and then
doesn't
below
change.
that,
No, but it's
Unless
some of
like,
them were
where
Word,
it
some
says
were
effective,
PDF file.
you could
Yeah.
like, as a board, just like,
I'm gonna bring my
okay, yeah, we
computer
like
and
where
show
it's
you
at,
what I
it's now
got.
effective.
I
as
want
of
to see
today's date.
this noise.
Yeah.
So,
ordinance
just
for
so
that
it looks
township.
like.
This-
it's
Or
been
look
looked
like-
at.
John must have
At
kept
the
those,
wheels.
Yeah,
you know, is what
because
he
I'm sure some
referenced
of
this
these are more
on.
than
But
2012.
the thing is, John should
Last
have said.
time.
Well, some are real old,
That's what I'm saying, I think they all should
That's
be
what-
like,
There's probably a general law.
Maybe
ordinance
not,
about
but he did.
sheep, not
Could be.
people around, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just got this because
She didn't
I
hear
was
you.
looking at the other ones to see
but
what.
there
we
is
could
a
do
sheep
better
ordinance.
this To help your situation, because them pools down there.
Cheryl,
What?
Matt said they do have a general law ordinance
number
regarding
one.
sheep. And sheep can't knock women around,
Right.
so you need to get that.
And 1708 was number one.
Send them on down the road that way.
Yeah, so we'll get, if we can, I wouldn't go to printing the whole thing off, just a table of contents. So at least know what's in it.
Okay.
And then we
I
can
do
go
that.
from there and go, we want to.
Was the table of contents on the website?
No,
No.
you just have to,
Okay.
That'd be something just, on the website, we could all, everybody could access it then.
It took me months to get the zoning book with the actual new zoning stuff in. Because there was, when Mark Bogie come in, there were books and pieces. So, you know what I mean? So this doesn't surprise me that that we don't know about it. Because the zoning book or the ordinance for your zoning
Oh, I feel better knowing that.
was difficult to
This
get.
is awesome. I keep asking.
But now we got one because Amanda made us all one that is, this is the future, but you made us a zoning book. So we got.
I think it'd be helpful to have a book of all the general law ordinances.
Because they might intertwine in some places.
After putting all of them together, it probably would be quite a bit less. So would you guys be okay with not necessarily a binder, but like one of the smaller, like a report quarter type thing? Would you be okay with that?
I don't know how
Or
many
a
pages
folder-
it is.
A folder I can stick them in?
There were 3 whole punch, we could probably put it in the back of this.
I could give you a
Yeah.
How
divider,
big is it? Yeah.
And so how many?
because it would fit, I believe, in there with that one. I'll try it on the one I have.
Okay.
And if it does fit, then I can just provide you with a divider piece. That way you know.
If it fits, it ships.
That's what I say all the time.
Okay, good.
Do you have anything else?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know if we even want to tackle it or should do it, but we have the solar ordinance and everything is through a state, right? They have to go to the state. How would our township handle it if someone came in for wind?
We have a moratorium on it right now.
Okay, when does that expire?
That was a
It's on
long
the
one.
board next door.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go look?
No, I'm
It's-
just curious, like.
That was a long,
something
that one was out there quite a ways, I think, wasn't it?
We have a
Yeah.
moratorium on that
I think it's
drilling
next,
too, where they wanna inject
All
carbon.
that carbon, yeah.
next year, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Now,
Yeah.
from what I understand, we're not, the feasibility studies have shown that this area isn't the best.
For
And
when,
I'm not saying they won't ever come in.
That's, I know, that's
Yeah.
kind of,
But we're not, I remember the lawyer telling John, even though the solar was coming in, he said, John, it's not an allowed use in our township. It's not allowed. But he went ahead and did it anyway. He made an ordinance or a zoning ordinance for that. And the lawyer told him it wasn't,
yeah, I guess I'm just thinking.
but I
like-
don't know, we could get sued over that.
That's what I'm thinking, like right now, it's the same thing at the state level, like if we don't have a wind here and someone wants to do wind. And we don't have an ordinance,
They
they
go right
could
to the
just go
state.
right to the state and get it.
Yeah.
So I think it almost benefits more of the township to at least have one. That they might pertain to look at or follow, instead of just, oh, you guys don't have an ordinance going right to the state.
Maybe it's something we could throw into our industrial area too. That we only allow
Yeah,
it in
we should.
industrial.
I just was
And
thinking, either
again,
way, at
they
least
don't-
have an ordinance of something, or at least start.
Yeah. And we knew there was an
Brainstorm
issue,
things
that's
together.
why they put a moratorium on.
Yeah. But someday that's gonna have to get,
I'm not,
yeah, because it's
You can't
gonna take
extend
a
it
year to
forever.
get it
Right.
done.
that's my.
I don't think there's much money left for them anymore.
No, that big, I don't know if you guys are paying attention,
Trump
but
got
just
rid of it.
before Granholm left as Secretary of Energy, she gave a $21 billion loan to the state of Michigan, most of it going to consumers and DT. And all that was earmarked for infrastructure improvement, but also expansion of green energy initiatives. I've been trying to follow it. There's not much beyond the original article, and everybody was calling her kind of a scumbag for doing that because it was last minute. And that there's a general auditor that's supposed to watch that, and a lot of that money went to, like I say, DT and consumers who were campaign contributors to her. And so there was some, I mean, under normal, like if she would, obviously she was rushing to get it done because her time there was limited after Trump came in. But the last article, which was kind of vague, and it might have been from like the Bridge magazine, which is a conservative news organization, I believe they clawed that money back. Like she had promised it, but then somehow they said, no, we're pulling that money back. But I don't, if it was you or somebody said, you know, that there's not a lot of money or initiative right now for green. I know Gretchen still got her 100% by 2035 or whatever, but
Yeah, she's leaving too.
yeah, but I mean, it looked, I mean, there's a lot of strong Democratic candidates lining up for her job. So I'm sure that, you know, if the Democrats retain control of Lansing and the House and Senate, that, you know, this is gonna be a very green, energy friendly state.
Don't the Republicans got control of the Senate now?
Yes. it
After the
does.
last
Yep,
election.
Yes. they
So
do.
what happened with the law that she put in place, that Gretchen put in place for this, the green initiative or reusable energy or
Yeah.
whatever it was? Whatever happened with that law? Because Republicans wrote a law to debunk that law, but I don't know if that ever got, there was a House bill, if that ever got.
The bill
approved.
that Justin's, the
Republicans.
law that Justin's referring to is basically, I think the way the law is written
I think it's
is a
only
developer
where-
is supposed to come in and begin initial conversations with the township.
They have to.
We have to have an ordinance that complies with the existing state laws on the matter. And if we don't, then they can just say, all right, forget the township, we're gonna go just deal directly with the state, which is a 3-person appointed.
But they don't have a state ordinance or a state law yet. I mean.
Oh,
yeah,
they
Oh,
do, they do.
I don't-
Now.
I don't think
we're-
it's been, I don't think it's
Oh,
through.
I'm pretty sure it went through, because there was,
Well, they amended it, if you do it one way, the township gets a one-time big payment.
yeah, well, they're just trying to sugarcoat a piece of dog turd and get us to swallow it.
It's only a one-time deal, it's not every year. But
Yeah.
Every year, but it's not, it's one-time
But
deal.
so the law, at least the law that I'm thinking of is in the books. And again, like, and Dave's mentioned, we have to have an ordinance period, and our ordinance theoretically should align with the state standards. But as you all know, we're part of a lawsuit of over 70 townships that are challenging some of the provisions of that law.
Could take forever.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
It's just
And
like,
again, so I had this conversation with Mark, but I got a buddy who he's not in solar, but he works adjacent to solar, and wherever there's solar, he's there, and he's kind of a staffing guy, and he works with
Yeah.
labor. And, you know, I kind of was sniffing around, like when our solar moratorium expired, I'm like, you know, I thought as Apex was gonna be here, open a business the next day after the moratorium, and no one's heard anything. I keep asking people, like, you know, is this gonna happen or not? Because it sounds like the coast is wide open for it. And I asked my buddy about it, and he said, you know, with Trump coming in, he said a lot of these big industrial scale things were kind of, you had a lot of grants and low interest or no interest loans coming in to kind of make everything
Yeah.
happen, and all that's gone. And there's no financial incentive right now for it. Now, that was his understanding, and he said, I could be wrong. He said, but that's kind of the word on the street inside my industry. And then when I heard, then when I heard about that Granholm loan, like, okay, she's gonna just bypass Trump's position, and she's gonna take a bunch of Department of
Yeah.
Energy money and send it to Michigan, and we're gonna get our solar fields. And then, you know, there was nobody was talking about it. I couldn't find anything online. And then the last was that they got that money back. It's not coming to the state.
I
So,
read somewhere in Michigan, DTE bought 800 acres at $7,000 an acre somewhere.
consumers.
Was it consumer?
last weekend auction,
Okay,
west side of the state.
yeah.
Or-
It
Actually, I
was
think it was
Hart,
kept-
wasn't it?
It
Was
was,
it in Hart this year?
yeah, something like that. It was 800 acres, they bought 7,500 an acre, like 5.6 million consumers just bought.
Well, the state come out on 400 acres somewhere up in,
State land.
yeah, state land up by, I wanna say Grayling.
Gaylord.
Gaylord, okay,
Yeah.
400 acres, and it's wooded, and they're gonna level it for solar. But I didn't hear that it went
got
through
pulled
either.
back too.
Yeah, I didn't hear,
There was
yeah,
too much of an uproar. They said they didn't notify the town, the county or it was a done deal before people knew about it. Even Gaylord didn't know about it. It was something the state did on their own, the
Yeah.
DNR and stuff,
And
and
it was
didn't tell
through state
nobody about it. When
property.
everybody found out about it, there was quite an uproar.
But and again, I'm generally anti-solar, especially like in prime ag, but some of the points that I read about that was that like, look, that a lot of those forests up there are monocultures, like they don't make very good, so to clear cut 400 acres in the big scheme of things, the state land isn't really that big of a deal. And again, I'm not, solar panels and the natural environment in my mind don't go together, but bringing that sunlight down, getting rid of just nothing but conifer trees wouldn't be that bad of an idea, but whatever.
I agree.
Well,
If
but-
it would stop
but the
there.
problem is,
Yeah.
right, it's 400, and then it's 800, then it's 2,000,
Yeah,
then it's
that's
then it's
the thing.
10,000, then it's, hey, let's take half of the UP out and let's
Yeah.
make that all solar. I mean, it just don't stop. That's the problem. Especially when she wants to be Granholm, Whitmer wants to be, dependent or non-dependent on anything but reusable energy by the year 2035, whatever the date was.
I guess I just brought the wind up because I know there's a township in central Michigan that they're doing a whole solar thing right now. It's like, I don't even remember the township name, but they were working with like the solar developer on their ordinance, and like the solar company like shook hands, like, deal, like, we're not gonna go to the state, like, we're gonna work with you on your ordinance. And so because they had an ordinance that they already started, then they came in as they were working on the ordinance and said, we'll work with you and not go to the state. Because they had an ordinance.
That's what they were doing here.
I
don't
think
know if you
I
knew that.
and
That's what happened here.
Okay,
The zoning, or
What I
the-
mean, that, I was
the
saying.
solar company came in with the regime before us, and they sat down, they said, we're gonna work with you on the zoning for solar. And that's what they were doing
Yeah.
before I got involved
but
and
this
Cheryl
one,
got involved and.
if it's the same one, I read the article and I was kind of shocked because I rarely got the impression that the solar developer was acting like in good faith, unlike I think what Apex.
It seemed like a faithful type.
And they already, if it's the same one I read, they've already conceded 300 feet from property lines.
I don't even know any of like,
Yeah.
on the zoning
The
stuff.
the one that was coming in here said they would do that.
Apex said they would 300 feet from property lines?
Yep.
Not from residences.
From residents. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
They were
No,
residents.
This
I
article
mean,
said, we're willing to work
property
with you,
lines.
we'll go 300 feet from property lines, and that got my attention.
Yeah.
I guess because again, they were starting working ordinance, had an ordinance, and nice enough not to go to state because they had an ordinance, that's why I just
That's
kind of been
that's
thinking,
something we
okay,
can look
what
up
might
and
be
work on
helpful. Yeah, we're not probably gonna have wind around, it's not common, but it's better to protect.
There's-
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
That's something we should
Just-
ask Dave. Should we
just
get
so they
started on that
Yeah.
versus
Just
working
so
on
they
these
can't jump
ordinances?
us.
Well, and there's, again, I mean, as far as wind goes, we're probably way behind, late to the party here. There's gotta be, I mean, that's the one thing I was like, when we sat down and tackled an ordinance, John would come in and we'd have like 5 examples of existing ordinances, one really restrictive, one more liberal, and we just kind of read and talk about all 5, and then we kind of mush them together. Rather than write, it's a lot easier to just cut and paste.
Yeah.
There's no
Take out what you like in
English
this
teacher
one.
who's gonna get us for plagiarism.
We can continue to talk about this. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Someone make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Second. All in favor?
Who made that motion?
Matt, seconded by Nicholas.
8:05. Public comment, I guess.
That was kind of, well, we didn't have a